So today I want to change things up and talk about something that we don't ever really talk about on this channel. Feelings. No, I'm just kidding. We're talking about Xbox stuff today because Xbox is the gift that keeps on giving. During that Mashable interview where we talked about Sarah Bond essentially confirming that, oh boy, the next gen Xbox is going to be very expensive. Make sure you check out yesterday's video if you have not yet. She also said something else that is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, and it's a talking point that has been brought up for years and years now. Really, the past 5 or so years, this has definitely become a larger and larger talking point, much because of what Xbox is doing with their console, with their games, and essentially with their brand. Now, to be fair, I'm not going to completely bash this over the head like a lot of people will. There are people that do agree with what Sarah Bond said during this interview, and I'm friends with some of those people. Granted, most of them are very Xbox diehard people, but still, there are people that think about the video game industry in this way. And I mean, I could kind of understand that, but I also want to bring some receipts that might bring a little bit of a different light to this portrait that Sarah Bond has painted, because Sarah Bond said the following in this interview that she did with good old Mashable. The biggest games in the world are available everywhere. You look at Call of Duty, you look at Minecraft, you look at Fortnite, you look at Roblox. That's actually what's really driving community in gaming. That's where people gather. And the idea to locking it to one store or one device is antiquated for most people. You want to be able to play with your friends anywhere, regardless of what they're on. And we're really leaning into this experience with the ROG Ally X. It just opens up another way for you to play, as does cloud, as does PC, as do the consoles we all have in our living room. So basically, Sarah Bond is essentially saying exclusives don't matter. Nobody cares about exclusives. You know, you look at Call of Duty, you look at Minecraft, you look at Fortnite, you look at Roblox. That's where the community is. And that's a very interesting statement there, because what do community, like defined community, are we talking about where people gather? Because Roblox is a very interesting game to mention within that lineup of games because of, well, all of the things that are happening with that. I don't know if that's exactly the best example to use there, Sarah, but I could see what she's saying with two of these games specifically, Call of Duty and Fortnite. Call of Duty and Fortnite are absolute cash cows. We know that. Call of Duty sells very well, and then you got to get the battle pass, and then you want to get the additional skins, and you want to get this, that, and the other. You need to get currency, so you spend money on currency. Fortnite is free to play, but of course there is that looming thing of, I need the latest skins, I need the latest, characters, I need everything. These games have definitely done a good job of almost transcending gaming into just being a normal part of everyday life. Call of Duty and Fortnite are absolute behemoths when it comes to stuff like that. But the idea of locking it to one store or one device is antiquated for most people. Well, I mean, okay, let's talk about that. Roblox is not owned by Microsoft. Minecraft is owned by Microsoft, but it was put onto all platforms before you got a hold of it. Fortnite is available on all platforms, and Call of Duty was on all platforms. And of course, now you own Activision, and you are continuing to do that. But I do think that all because some of these games are indeed very successful, and some of these games do shine a big light on the video game industry, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only part of the video game industry. Like, by that mindset, well, what about mobile games? Like, mobile games make crazy amounts of money and stuff like that. Everyone should be playing mobile games, but they're not. Consoles still sell. People still buy Nintendo consoles. People still buy PlayStation consoles, and even some sickos out there are still buying Xbox consoles in 2025 with all the price increases and stuff like that. But to say that it's an antiquated business model and an antiquated, sort of mindset, I mean, why are you saying that? Are you saying that because you truly believe that? Or are you saying that because that's what Xbox has believed for many, many years now? Ever since Phil Spencer said, hey, good games don't sell hardware, it's obviously been a bit of a cultural shift for Xbox. And if you look at the other two companies that have home consoles on the marketplace, I mean, it's been working for them pretty well. You know, should we even talk about Nintendo? Do we even need to bring up Nintendo into this equation? Like, I feel like that's just a cheap shot at this point in time. But look at the sales of first-party Nintendo games. Why do Nintendo systems sell? Because people buy them to play Nintendo games. Could they maybe expand their reach a little bit? Like, yeah, but they also rely on hardware. Hardware is a very important part of Nintendo. IPs, branding, accessories, all of this sort of stuff. It's all encompassing of Nintendo. I feel like Nintendo is the low-hanging fruit to go with this. Like, no shit, Sherlock. Exclusives are so important to Nintendo that if there aren't exclusives, then their hardware tends to not sell all that great unless the exclusives are there front and center with the system. Look at the Wii U to the Switch. Why did the Switch become so successful? Because look at the games they came out with that thing in the first year of the system. But I'm not going to go for the low-hanging fruit. I think PlayStation's a more interesting comparison to make here. PlayStation, you know, the PlayStation brand that's been around for many, many years now, over 30 years of celebration of PlayStation. And I thought to myself, you know, a lot of third-party games do sell on PlayStation, but I wonder where the exclusives stack up as far as, like, best-selling games of all time across PlayStation. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe Sarah didn't want to do this, but I just typed in Google, and I actually found this article over on GameSpot from September 9th. So pretty up to date here as far as games are concerned. After 30 years, these are the best-selling PlayStation games of all time in the United States. Now, obviously not worldwide, but this will give us some sort of guidance to go on here. I see some familiar faces that should be familiar to you, but I do expect there to be a lot of third-party games on here. PlayStation has now become the default system, really after the PlayStation 4, or with the PlayStation 4 when you compare it to how Xbox did during that time frame. But, you know, I'm curious to see this list of games. Obviously, Grand Theft Auto 5 right there at the top of the list. I mean, it's Grand Theft freaking Auto in terms of units sold. Minecraft. There you go, Microsoft. You know, you put that game out there. Maybe Sarah Bond is right. Maybe there's not going to be any exclusives on here. Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, it is a Rockstar game, so, you know, whatever. San Andreas. San Andreas, we're doing all 30 years of PlayStation. You know what? Sarah Bond is spot on. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Oh, Spider-Man. Well, I'm sure this is the only, like, first-party game that's going to be on this list, right? Come on. You know, it has to be, or else Sarah Bond's whole narrative will fall apart because I can just pick it apart by saying what I'm going to say after this. Black Ops 3, there's Call of Duty. Black Ops Cold War, the herpes of the video game industry, Call of Duty, and Grand Theft Auto, Jesus Christ. More Call of Duty, more Call of Duty. Uh-oh. There's Miles Morales. Okay. Ooh, The Last of Us. Oh, God of War 2018. There's Skyrim, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six, Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty. And then this is in terms of dollars. But you notice that we do have multiple PlayStation games on here. Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Last of Us, and God of War 2018. And now, taking that into account, why did those games sell on the PlayStation brand? Because, I mean, you know, it's why people are buying the PlayStation. Yes, some people are going to buy the PlayStation to play the third-party games, but they're not buying your system. They're not buying the Xbox to play the third-party games. People that like God of War, people that like Spider-Man, people that like The Last of Us, people that like the upcoming Wolverine game, people that like Sony's first-party IPs are going to buy Sony platforms because that is where you play the games. And you could say, well, you could play them on PC too, RGT, but some people don't want to mess around with PC. And I don't think that this Xbox system, like I've said a million times, is going to convince people to want to play these games on this hybrid console device that's going to cost a lot of money. Exclusives are why people are attracted to brands. And I understand that Xbox is trying to change that narrative, but I don't necessarily think that it's going to pay off in the long run. Like, imagine if Nintendo did that. If Nintendo was just like, no more hardware, we're just going to sell games. We just want to sell games on everything because we want to see how much we can make. Would it really be all that much different? Like, some of these Nintendo games sell better than like some franchises cumulatively do. Like, it's absolutely insane. We're talking about individual titles as well. So is it really worth it? Because brand recognition for console gamers is still definitely a thing. I can understand why Sarah is trying to say this, because this has been Xbox's MO, and this has been their sort of narrative for a long time. It's just that there's still a lot of people that don't exactly believe in the narrative. They like exclusives. They like buying exclusive games on their console of choice. And then they also get all these third-party games as well. You're getting the best of both worlds. If you take away the exclusives from the hardware, what's the point of the hardware? Why would somebody want to buy that hardware that doesn't have exclusives when you could buy a hardware that plays the same third-party games, will also play a good bunch of Xbox games, and it has exclusives on there? I don't know. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. It's just down to your preference. It's down to what you look for in gaming. And for me personally, I enjoy exclusives. I think exclusives are fun. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. And I don't think it's an antiquated business model. Yeah, maybe if you're just worrying about like catching dollary dues and stuff like that, and milking a fan base for something, sure, Fortnite, put it on everywhere. But for every Fortnite and for every Call of Duty, there is a ton of games that completely fail, that try to emulate that style. All because those games are successful doesn't mean that there aren't bodies and bodies of games that have tried to be the next big thing and failed miserably. It's not a surefire thing, all because a game is available across everything, that the game is going to be successful. A good game has a better chance of being successful on a single platform than a mediocre game that's available across all platforms. But what do you think about it? I know I kind of rambled here. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm exhausted right now. I have to be up early tomorrow I have to go to the church in the morning. And then I have to go to the funeral home in the morning. Then I have to go to the church. Then I have to go to the cemetery. And then we're having a family gathering. So I got back from the wake tonight, tired. I'm going to bed after this. So sorry if I kind of like lost my train of thought in this video, but I think you get what I'm trying to say here. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Give me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit subscribe if you're new. Be sure to like the video as well. Leave a comment. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.